Well, we're just a couple of weeks from the trade deadline, and it's pretty clear that the Mets and the Yankees will both be active, but in what way? Let's bring in Sports Illustrated Mets and Yankees writer Pat Ragazzo. Pat, thanks for joining us, man. It's going to be a busy trade deadline for you, isn't it?
Definitely going to be busy, Steve. Thanks so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be. It's interesting because honestly, a couple of months ago, we would have thought that the Mets would absolutely be sellers. But let's start off and make this perfectly clear. What is the likelihood the Mets would trade away Pete Alonso?
At this point, it's been a tale of two seasons for the Mets, and I would be shocked if they traded Pete Alonso in the coming weeks. Trade deadline's coming up here, July 30th. We're about 12 days away. And yeah, I mean, the Mets are very much in the thick of the playoff race and one game up in the third wildcard spot in the NL. So I think it would be very surprising if the Mets wound up trading Pete Alonso at this point.
All right, so the big name that a lot of people are throwing out there, the all-star pitcher from the White Sox, Garrett Crochet, he is a really good pitcher, but as we know, at the trade deadline, you've got to give to get. And it seems like there'd be a lot of teams that would be involved in him. Will the Mets be involved in the Crochet sweepstakes?
I really don't think that this is the year for the Mets to go out and get a Crochet. He's had a huge year, comes with a number of years of control as well. And I've heard the Dodgers are heavily in on Crochet, and as well as outfield teammate, superstar Luis Robert Jr. I just don't see the Mets pulling off a deal of that magnitude this year. They will be buyers, but a little softer and not as aggressive as some of the other teams, such as the Dodgers and maybe even the Yankees.
Okay, so it's pretty clear then. It doesn't sound like there's going to be a big name moving either to or from the Mets, but a lot of little pieces are going to help this team out because clearly they've had bullpen issues this entire year. They've been bringing people up from all parts of America to try to help with that bullpen. So, how do you think that they're going to be addressing their bullpen needs?
Well, I think that the Mets already acquired Phil Matone from the Tampa Bay Rays, and that deal materialized a little earlier than usual, or where we see the market kind of move each year at the deadline. But there's more work left to be done. There's rental relievers on the Cincinnati Reds who maybe they could target. The Detroit Tigers have some names who are available right now in their bullpen. Maybe an Andrew Chafin, he's a left-hander. And the Miami Marlins have Tanner Scott, their left-handed closer, who everybody seems to be interested in this deadline season. So the Mets could go a number of different ways. I just don't see them giving up top prospects in a transition year where it looks like they have a pretty good shot to make the postseason at this point, but it's not necessarily an all-in year for the Mets, despite the fact that they do need bullpen upgrades and they're going to have to maybe seek that, maybe trading a starting pitcher or some lower level prospects to get it done.
Well, I tell you what, this has got to be an all-in year for the Yankees, and the start that they had this year has given them the grace to be able to have a little bit of a slower approach to the All-Star game, or to the All-Star weekend, I should say. But given the fact that there is no guarantee that Juan Soto is going to be on this team next year, how aggressive do you think that that's going to make the Yankees at the trade deadline?
Well, I think you nailed it right there, Steve. This is an all-in year for the Yankees because there is no guarantee that Juan Soto comes back. He's headed to free agency. He's 25 years old. He's a generational talent. He's going to command big money on the free agency market, and the Yankees are going to do everything they can to retain him. Yeah, I think that they're going to have to get aggressive at the trade deadline, whether it's upgrading the bullpen, which is a major area of need. They could go after a starter, and they also seem to need a bat as well in a struggling lineup beyond Aaron Judge and Juan Soto.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with being aggressive at the trade deadline. It obviously worked out for the Rangers and the Diamondbacks last year, who were both very active at the trade deadline. We expect both the Mets and the Yankees to be just as active, but specifically on the Yankees, it's pretty clear that they're trying to find a way to add another bat to this lineup. How are they going to address that in your mind?
Well, infield's the obvious choice for the Yankees here. They haven't gotten the production they were hoping for from DJ LeMahieu at third base or Gleyber Torres at second base. So you could look at Luis Renifo from the Los Angeles Angels, who's very versatile, can play third base, can play second base. Guys like that are probably who they're going to be looking at in the coming weeks as we get closer to the date. Jazz Chisholm's a name that's been brought up with the Marlins. He comes with a number of years of control as well, so he might cost a little extra. But the Yankees will probably be looking at their infield, and they could potentially add an outfield bat as well, given the struggles of Alex Verdugo the last couple of months.
Every team wants a bullpen. I mean, the Yankees, notwithstanding, would love to add another arm to their bullpen as well. Do you see a scenario where they make a move to try to get themselves a high leverage reliever?
I think they have to, Steve. I think the Yankees are thinking about moving Luis Heel to the bullpen, given that he's approaching his career high in innings pitched at the professional level. He's only 6 2/3 away from setting that career high. And that only solves one problem. I mean, Clay Holmes has had his struggles since May. I know he was named an all-star, but he had a great start to the regular season, and he's really gone through it since about mid-May. So, yes, the Yankees need a high leverage arm in the bullpen, or at least two maybe to help them get to where they want to go this year. And they're going to have to be very aggressive, as we've been talking about, in order to upgrade their bullpen.
Well, we're about to find out. I mean, we're still less than 2 weeks away from the trade deadline, and the Mets and the Yankees are both going to be very active. So, Pat, I'm sure that we're going to be reaching out to you once again with some more insights as we get closer to that day. But Pat Ragazzo of Sports Illustrated, Mets and Yankees writer, thanks so much for your time, man. Much appreciated, brother.
Thanks for having me, Steve.